Hi guys, if you're watching this video, you're probably thinking of moving to Brookline. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the cost of living in Brookline from the day-to-day, cost of food, utilities, transportation, your day-to-day life, the cost finally of real estate, which is why you should stick around to the very end of my video for all of the juicy content you're probably most interested in hearing about. So my name is Frank Carroll of the Frank Carroll Homes team at Compass. Please be sure to like my page, follow my page, comment on my videos. You can call me, text me, or email me anytime. I'm always available to talk to you. So one thing you should know if you're moving from out of state is the cost of living in Brookline is about 79% higher than the national average. Brookline is definitely one of the most expensive places to live given its proximity to Boston, which is also in the top 3 areas in the country for costs of living and real estate prices. So goods and services in Brookline are about 30% on average higher than the national average and about 10% higher than the average in Massachusetts. I think this is mostly due to the proximity to Boston. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the cost of food in Brookline. So given Brookline is so close to Boston, there are some more expensive options and less expensive options. You know, you can basically expect to pay about $4 to $5 for a cup of coffee, a little bit more for a cappuccino. A cocktail could be anywhere from $7 to $15. A beer can be usually around $7 to $10. So other costs of food, a loaf of bread is about $3.50, maybe $4. A gallon of milk is about $3 or so. Cost of eggs, a carton of eggs is probably about $3. The cost of a bunch of bananas is about $4. As far as the food, you know, if you can keep it more inexpensive by going to, you know, a place like Dorado Tacos or Shawarma King and just get a meal for 20 bucks. Or you could go to something more upscale like La Mora or Taberna de Haro or Barcelona, which are all really good restaurants in Coolidge Corner and Washington Square and just outside of Brookline Village. So those would run you anywhere from probably $60 to $100 for a meal with drinks. As far as other costs of living, you know, with the food, I would say you have to think about groceries, so that could be anywhere from a scale of a low end of Trader Joe's to a high end of Wegmans or Whole Foods. So there are many different options, including Stop and Shop, Star Market. You know, I'd say the average weekly grocery bill for Brookline would be probably something around $100 to give or take, $100 give or take, or maybe a little bit less depending on how big your household is, or a little bit more. So the second thing I wanted to talk about is the cost of transportation. You know, Boston and Brookline have a really good public transportation system. We have what's called the T, which is the train. There's the green, red, orange line, and the blue lines. So for Brookline, you're going to be really on the green train line, which is split up into a couple of different letters, the B, C, and D line. The B line being Commonwealth Avenue, that's more to the Brighton side. The C line, which is Beacon Street, which goes through Coolidge Corner, Washington Square towards Boston College. And the D line, which goes toward Longwood Medical area. So basically the cost of a T-Pass is about $90 per year. The cost of a bus ticket is $1.70. The cost of a train ticket is $2.40. One way of getting around that I really like a lot is the Blue Bikes, which is a bike sharing program where you can go from station to station. It runs year round now. It used to only run seasonally. So that costs about $111 per year. It's really a great way to get around without having to worry about storing a bike somewhere. Because there are bike lanes that are protected and more inside of the road, it's a lot safer to do that these days than it ever has been. Other costs associated with transportation, car insurance probably would average you anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 a year, depending on the age of your car. The cost of a parking space in Brookline would be anywhere from $150 to $200 for an outdoor space, and probably around $250 or no more than $300 for a garage parking space. Because with Brookline, you can't park on the street overnight, so it's important if you have a car that you have a parking space either included in your rent or your sale price, or you have the ability to rent it somewhere. And there are definitely plenty of options given the lack of the ability to park overnight. So definitely compared to Boston, I think parking is less expensive and the availability of parking is much better. The cost of gas, I would say because of inflation recently with COVID, the gas prices are at an all-time high. Yesterday I filled my tank in Brookline and it was about $3.80 a gallon for regular gas. So I would say normally that's more like $3 to $3.50 a gallon, so hopefully that will normalize soon. The third thing I wanted to talk about is the cost of utilities. So compared to, I would say, the rest of the country, the utility costs are a little bit higher because it's cold in the winter, warm in the summer, so definitely it's going to be on average 40% higher for utilities in Brookline compared to the national average. So what would it cost for your heating, your cooling, your Wi-Fi bills? Again, that would vary depending on the size of your place, the ceiling height, the age of the windows, the floor level you're on, the type of heat. Electric baseboard heat is most expensive versus gas heat, which could be more efficient. Oil heat, you have to fill the tank a couple times a year, so that could cost maybe $1,000 a year or more depending on the size of your house or condo. So I'd say the average electric bill would probably be around $60 to $80 a month. The average gas bill, if you're just paying for cooking gas, is probably like $30 a month. The average Wi-Fi bill is probably around $50 to $60 per month. If you get cable as well, you can get introductory packages to Comcast or Verizon Fios or Starry, where it'll be maybe $100 combined for the first year. I'd also be wary about the renewal of those contracts, because in my experience they always go up without telling you, so be very careful with your cable bill and your Wi-Fi bill. And finally, what you've been waiting for, the cost of real estate in Brookline. So Brookline is definitely one of the most expensive cities in the entire country, relative value for buying and renting. I would say that, again, it varies by the part of Brookline you're looking at. You can break it down by Brookline Village, Coolidge Corner, Washington Square, Longwood Medical Area, the areas towards Brighton. So there's definitely a wide spectrum of values here. Chestnut Hill is at the extreme. For, say, a single family, can be millions of dollars, whereas Coolidge Corner, you can get a condo as low as the 300s if it's a small studio condo. So what are the costs of real estate? So why don't we start with renting? So I'd say the average rental price in Brookline is about $3,100 per month. So that's across, if we break it down by the category of apartment, a studio apartment averages $1,700 per month, a one bedroom averages $2,200 per month, a two bed is around $2,900 give or take, three bed $3,700 give or take. If you're renting an entire house, it's probably going to be around $7,000 or so. So the average sale price of Brookline averages around $1 million or a little bit more than $1 million. And the cost per square foot, which is always a good way of comparing values across areas and towns, is $738 per square foot. So what are the breakdown of the condo prices? One bed averages around $540,000, which is around $761 per square foot. A two bed averages $856,000 or around $731 per square foot. A three bed averages around $1.2 million or around $733 per square foot. And a multifamily for investors averages around $2 million or $528 per square foot. And a single family averages $2.4 million or around $688 per square foot. So this gives you a really good idea of the average prices and the prices per square foot. And again, it just depends on what you're looking for. So a studio apartment, I've seen them for sale for as low as like $350,000 or even $400,000. A one bedroom, I've sold one bedrooms in Brookline for $450,000, $500,000. So there's definitely deals to be had. I think it's one of the most competitive markets given the schools are so good. So the elementary and high schools are, obviously they're free because they're public schools and they're some of the best in the entire country. So people go out of their way to move to Brookline for the school systems, and that definitely creates a competitive real estate market, especially according to the part of Brookline you're in, because there's different elementary schools depending on which part you're in. Even within Coolidge Corner, there's several elementary schools. So that could help guide you to give you the information on what they are, and there's websites that show you the ratings of the schools, the test scores and all that. The Brookline High School is one of the best in the country. So people definitely want to live in the town for that access to the schools. So another consideration when you're moving to Brookline is what are the costs of taxes? So the sales tax rate is 6.25%, which is pretty much the same as Boston. The residential exemption, so if you live in Brookline in your property and you're an owner occupant, and you occupy it for a full calendar year starting in January, you're eligible for what's called a residential exemption. So this means you get basically a reduction in your taxes because you do not rent it out. It has to be your primary residence. So for the fiscal year of 2022, you get $320,000 of assessed value reduced from the value of your place. So it reduces your taxes considerably. So if you're buying a condo that's, say, $700,000, your taxes are halved. So it's really a great program. It can't be any more than 35% of your assessed value, but it will give you overall a really good reduction in your taxes. So keep that in mind. Similarly in Boston, you just get a flat $3,200 off your taxes, but in Brookline they do it according to the assessed value. And the property tax rate in Brookline is $10.19 per $1,000 of assessed value. So one thing I should tell you is the assessed value of a property is not always the market value. Usually the market value is much higher than the assessed value because when the city assesses properties, they base it on data and very kind of crude information. It's not based on a house visit where they do an analysis, which is called a comparative market analysis. So that's something I can do for you as we're looking at properties. As you look at properties online, we can do a comparative market analysis so you know what the comps are, so you know the property is going to appraise for the purchase price. It will not affect your sale process at all. So all this is really important information to know, and this is where I can help you by looking at the sold comps according to what was in MLS, what was off market, and the public record. And the other thing, now that we're talking about the values of properties and the comparative market analysis, is because I work at Compass, I'm a member of this really large, great company with access to off-market, coming soon, pre-market listings, which only go into the Compass database. So by working with me, I could put you into the system. You can get a daily or even an hourly or immediate update with properties. And you'll also get basically all this access ahead of time before other people. So it's really a valuable way of researching the market and really getting your foot in the door before other people. And given all the bidding wars that are happening, it's really important that you have this early access for sure. So all in all, those are the costs of living in Brookline. Like I said, it is not an inexpensive city, but there are ways of saving money, whether it comes to food, whether it comes to transportation, whether it comes to your utility bills, and also the real estate. There are definitely ways of getting in at a reasonable price where you don't have to be a multimillionaire to live there. So please be sure to like my page, follow my page, comment on my posts, call, email me, or text me anytime. It would be my pleasure to help you, and I really appreciate your time.